We had to always, when we come halfway through the hour, we always have a really hard break that we can't float. And so that's why we were running out of time with author Frank Bailey, who very kindly, he stayed on with us. He is the author of Blind Allegiance to Sarah Palin. It's the new book out that's it's very critical of the former Alaskan governor. A lot of people are talking about it. Frank is joining us for a second segment here on the phone. Frank, thanks so much for holding. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, no problem at all.
So we were discussing this book, and one of the things that you had mentioned, you were talking about. I had brought up the Alaskans for Truth. They were the people that were really heavily petitioning Senator Elton to bring ethical charges against the governor, and we were talking about too how Ken Morris and Gene Devin, I guess they're co-authors of this book with you. Gene Devin is married to the treasurer of Alaskans for Truth. And do you think in any way, how did you get hooked up with them to write this book? Because if you're a conservative, you go in conservative circles. I mean, I know of the folks who do Crooks and Liars. I've met Marcos, who does Daily Kos before. But at what point do you go from being a conservative to then working with very far left progressives, which these two are, very far left, working with them on a book about someone?
Absolutely fair question, Dana. 2 points. Ken Morris is a brilliant writer. He is just an amazing writer. He's an accomplished novelist, a best-selling author. Jeannie Devin is an amazing researcher. None of the three of us agree with each other's politics, but we agreed on this issue. And, it truly comes down to this. Let me just put it this way. Conservatives have to check the facts in this book, and I applaud you for reading it. When you go to the end and you read about the judge stuff and parental consent for minors for abortion, there is no way that you can possibly think that this was written by people who are not conservative. This is my heartfelt story, and I believe in these issues. I still believe in them. I want a strong conservative leader. Sarah Palin just is not. She is not that person. And it terrifies me when I see people place that same sort of level of worship in her that I did. I just truly, Dana, I want people to learn from the mistakes that I made.
Well, I wanted to, because you had mentioned, and we didn't get to go into it, you had said that she nominated or that she was approving of a pro-abortion judge, but Alaska tends to take it's the same, it's the Missouri, it's the exact same thing as what our state does. Don't you think it's a little disingenuous to phrase it like that? She chose the one that was the strongest on life. There were two people. Neither one was a great choice, but she went with the one that was the friendliest towards pro-life issues. Now, when you say that, when you omit all of that other information and you say she put in a pro-abortion, don't you think that's disingenuous to do that as a conservative and as, I'm assuming, a Christian?
If you read the story, you understand the rest of what you're alluding to there, and that is that there was an out. That Missouri plan is very locked down, as you know, for appointing judges. But there was a conflict of interest with this one judge, and the Judicial Council has to send up a list of names, so that's plural. And with the conflict of interest on the one, that meant that they should have gone back to the pool. Sarah chose not to fight that when she fought petty, silly, crazy sometimes other issues and consumed tons of time. And this conflict of interest had to do with her own family. And we need leaders who will rise up above that stuff, and she chose not to, and it tore me apart.
Well, I think it's disingenuous to present it that way. Now, with the ethics violations, you are actually under investigation right now. Is that correct? We had many frivolous ethics charges against the governor. Many were thrown out. There's one against me right now. Yeah, but hers never went to like the attorney general. It hasn't gone all the way up to the level. No. Yours has actually gone up several levels, whereas hers were thrown out before they got to the extent that yours are at now.
Ma'am, you're just not correct. They all are viewed.
That's why they're still investigating you, though.
They like I said,
they dismissed the ones to her.
I've been told by experts inside and outside the state that we have done nothing wrong. I mean, there are spots in the book that you will read, Dana, as you go through this. And again, I'm proud of you for actually digging in and reading it, but there's spots where the AG's office wanted me to pull out entire sections in emails, and we did that, and we list them. You can see that right in there. This was removed at the request of the AG's office. We've done everything we can to help those guys out.
Now, with the ethics charges and all of this, the emails, there's a lot of allegations out there. They're saying, well, you essentially stole these emails. How do you respond to when people come at you with those allegations that, these were emails that, that were stolen, that you shouldn't have been sharing them, and a lot of what's in the emails doesn't support some of the things you're saying? How do you respond when you hear that?
Dana, it is absolutely ridiculous. All of these emails were sent to and from me. This governor did everything she could to try to conceal her communication, and again, some of that is understood in a political environment, but all of these were sent to and from me on my personal account.
Well, a lot of them
never, ever, let me just repeat that, ever use someone else's personal account.
But a lot of them were public.
Never go into that.
A lot of them were
out there too.
Official business emails, though, that were public domain anyway. Some of them were.
Let me say this, Dana. If I had not used my own emails to prove and to show some of the stories, like the lemonade stand,
you were talking about campaign violations, but nothing in the emails proved that.
People would never believe these stories because they are unbelievable without the proof.
I want to ask you one last quick question here. ConservativesForPalin.com did an interview with Tara Jolie. As you know, she also worked with you with the governor's staff.
I know Sarah. Yeah.
She was not happy with what she was saying that you were essentially peddling falsehoods and that you were starstruck, and she makes it out to be what she says is that you essentially, you were denied a higher up position, you were a disgruntled employee, and that you went off and you wrote a book it's filled with baseless stuff. How do you respond to what Tara is saying about you in your book?
I've got nothing bad to say about Tara. She is a hard worker. She's a wonderful person. We disagree on this. I've got nothing to be disgruntled or bitter about. I want people to learn from the mistakes that I own in this book, and please do not make the same mistakes twice. Well,
Frank, I appreciate you sticking with 2 segments with us, because we have a lot of progressives that don't come on the show at all. But I appreciate you coming on this. Frank Bailey, author of Blind Allegiance to Sarah Palin. Thanks, Frank. It's a lot of controversy with this book.